What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a monumental episode 10 of Cold Takes from the Land.
Yeah, baby! Woo! Cold Takes from the Land. We get the coldest takes from the hottest Cleveland sports fans.
Oh yeah, and we weren't hot, buddy. We were fuming. At least I was fuming.
Yeah, I think you and me both, buddy. I'm ice cold. I'm frozen over here still.
Yeah, God, we're really embodying cold takes here. I'm sure
there'll be some cold takes, I'm sure, today.
Yeah, I'm sure all you fellers out there listening are already well aware. The Cleveland Browns have lost to the Seattle Seahawks 24-20, and it was another one of those games where we were not favored going in, and the Seahawks jump out. They score 17 points in the first quarter. It looks all but over. And then, of course, goddamn, this team fights back and is in a position where they should win the game. And then in the most typical Cleveland Browns fashion, they fucking lost. And my soul hurts.
Yes, we did, buddy. Yeah, what a fucking weird game, to say the least. Like you said, they got out to the big lead. Then we kind of scratched and clawed our way back into the game, and then just to give up an easy-ass touchdown drive to lose the game at the end.
Yeah, it just, like, some of the most Cleveland Browns plays I've ever seen happened in this game. Fucking...
Yeah, the last interception, definitely, too, where Jamal Adams skied out of nowhere, and PJ throws the ball right off the dude's helmet and it gets fucking intercepted. Like, what other team does that happen to? Just us.
Yeah, this shit only happens in Cleveland, buddy. And
yeah, literally only in Cleveland. I mean, we've seen some wild shit. We've seen that. We've seen the walk-off where the Ravens blocked our field goal and returned it for a touchdown to win it. Yeah, our buddy Kyle was at that game, actually, and I can't imagine being in attendance for that. If that were my first ever Browns game, I can guarantee you it would probably be my last, because I would not go back to that stadium ever again.
Right. Did you see the video of the guy who was wearing a Barkevious Mingo jersey and he ripped it up in the stands after that field goal touchdown?
That's funny as hell, though. When you started to say Barkevious, I thought you were going to say something about barbecue. Where the fuck is he going with this?
No, Barkevious Mingo, for you Browns fans that don't remember, dude was a 6th overall pick. 10 years ago,
God,
actually.
We took him that high?
Yeah, 6th overall.
Whoo! Goes to show what our front office knows, buddy, huh?
Hell yeah, buddy. But let's get into this. We've already set the table, as we like to say. Browns done lost it.
I have a lot of random notes jotted down here. Let me just kind of go on a tangent here, because I wrote a bunch of random shit down that's kind of funny.
Okay.
The first one I put kind of normal. I put defense way too aggressive. Number 2, bad penalties. 3, I put cut people's jobs. 4, I put need a backup QB. 5, I had defense overrated. 6, I put need to get a receiver. And I put for the next one, Zadarius Smith isn't living up to expectations. # what the fuck. No, the next one I put Kareem Hunt, no touches past 3:30 in quarter 3, ? W2F. And then I put only the Browns as my last note.
I think that recaps the game pretty well, buddy. What do you say?
Yeah, fucking, what a day, man. I mean, from the low of being like, oh shit, this is going to be a blowout. Like you said, they started up 14-0. Then I think we got a field goal. Then they came back and matched it with another field goal. So we were down 17-3, I think, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. Anyway, it wasn't good in the first quarter. And then the second quarter, we somehow claw our way back into the game, make it close at halftime, and then take the lead. 17-7, no. Anyway. Didn't feel good in that first quarter. We were kind of getting slapped around. The defense didn't look great. And then we started to claw our way back in it a bit in the second quarter just to take the lead eventually in the third quarter and have it for a little bit in the fourth, and then we just give it up like it was nothing. I mean, they kind of cut through our defense like butter on that last drive.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get into that. And before we get into our 3 positives and 3 negatives, I want to tell a short little story about this game that I actually just remembered like 20 minutes ago. I was like thinking about telling you this at work, and then it left my brain, but I just remember because I'm looking at the guy's name. They have a receiver by the name of Jake Bobo.
Oh, I remember him.
And he became famous for his 40-yard dash time at his pro day being a whopping 4.9. Now, if
that
for
is pretty horrendous.
Yeah, for those of you that may not quite completely understand that, let me put this into perspective. Myles Garrett runs a 4.6, and he's a defensive end, a very athletic defensive end, but still a defensive end. And Bobo runs a 4.9. So I see him going in motion on a play, and I see him running. I'm at my grandparents. I look, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you see that guy? I think he's number 19." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's that's funny. He's like the slowest receiver in the league. His 40-yard dash time was almost as slow as mine in high school." And as I say those words, they snap the ball, throw it too many gains, like 20 fucking yards, and I was just like, "Well, yeah, I think that just summed it up for me."
Yeah, that happens, buddy. That's the old Cleveland shit-talking curse. I had the same thing happen to me. Shout out to my one good buddy Josh. We went to a Guardians game this year. And as I'm looking over at this guy, telling him how terrible Josh Bell has been for us all year, dude absolutely demolishes a baseball, hits it about 450 feet. And I'm like, yep, of course that happens right now. And we all just started laughing.
Oh, good old Cleveland sports. That's cold. Those are two cold takes right there, buddy.
Yeah. Speaking of old Bobo, we kind of touched on this today. Frickin' Newsom got absolutely toasted by that fool. He was in man coverage with that guy on that end-around play and didn't even make an effort to tackle the dude.
Yeah, it wasn't good, man. It wasn't good. But you want to get into our 3 positives and then our 3, probably more than 3 negatives?
If you want to call it that, yeah. Do you want me to go first on the positives, or do you want to take it away?
No, I'm gonna take it away, bitch. This is my
F it. We'll do it live.
F it. Yeah. Send it.
Send it.
But
that's another shout out to my buddy Josh. He does that at every Guardians game we go to.
God. But my first positive is the big fella himself, former Michigan Wolverine Maurice Hurst, out there balling.
Oh, I thought you were about to talk about DPJ.
No.
Shut your whore mouth.
No, we're in the positive section, buddy. Relax. Maurice Hurst II. Fun fact: I used to hate this man when he was at when he was at Michigan, because I'm an Ohio State fan. But this dude, and this is kind of for the whole season. I'm just giving him his flowers real quick. Obviously, he made that incredible interception, one of the most athletic plays I've seen out of a tubby fellow like him. But this dude was like a first-round talent. He dropped in the draft due to, I'm pretty sure it was like injury concerns. And he comes in and he plays well with the Raiders, but he keeps getting hurt. And then he goes, I'm pretty sure, to the Niners, and he kept getting hurt again. And he hadn't played since like 2020, I think, or 2021. And we signed him on like a flyer. Like he was, when you look at all the, like, back before preseason started, all like the 53-man roster projections, everyone thought that he was going to get cut. It was going to be, Dalvin and Shelby Harris and Siaka Ika, and then take your pick of whoever the fuck was else on the roster. We end up keeping 5 D tackles. Yes, we end up keeping 5 D tackles, originally cut Maurice Hurst, and then we sign him back to the roster just before week 1, and this motherfucker has taken over the role as probably the number 2 defensive tackle. He might even be playing better than Dalvin, and Dalvin's played pretty well.
Yeah, he's outplaying him, I think, but it's close. But between the two of them, he's taken over that number 2 starter role.
Yeah, he's out here killing it, looking like his Michigan self. He's been stopping the run, getting in the backfield on pass rushes, and just today he fucking backs up into coverage from the defensive tackle position, tips the ball in the air, and then dives his belly flop self onto the ground and picks the ball off. And I had to give it to him, buddy. That was a hell of a story, and I just wanted to give him his flowers. So that's my first positive.
Yeah, that play was absolutely absurd. I kind of had to do a double take when it happened, because I saw him tap the ball up in the air, and it came down. And all of a sudden, all the Cleveland Browns are celebrating. And I'm like, no way in hell. I'm like, he didn't just tap that up to himself and pick it off, did he? And then they showed the replay. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this MFer skied out, laid out for the ball, and intercepted it after tipping it to himself. I'm like,
yeah, I've
never seen that. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. But I think he's got that number 2 starter spot on lockdown for DT. So I just kind of hope he can continue to play like that.
For sure.
My first positive, I said run game was once again very strong. No pun intended there, because Pierre Strong, our boy, We've been saying it for weeks, buddy. He came out, had a huge game, 41 yards on the ground. He had the one reception for 41 yards. I think this guy moving forward is an option to be our number one running back, especially if we don't bring anybody in for a trade here.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt's great, but I think you should split mainly your carries between those two guys because Pierre Strong runs hard. He runs fast. He seems to hit the hole a little quicker than Jerome Ford does, but I was really impressed with everything he did out there this last week.
Yeah, his numbers don't stick out particularly, but like when you just watch the game, that dude has an attitude. He's
got speed too, man. He's fast.
Yeah, he can move, and he's got an attitude about him when he's running the ball. Like he's running like he's on a fucking track meet or something. I don't know. He runs hard. He runs fast. He's aggressive, kind of like like a prime Kareem Hunt in a way, and. Mm-hmm. He looked real good, and we saw like little spurts of it in the early games, and me and you both were like, I don't know, I'd kind of like to see him get some carries. He finally gets 10 carries, gets an opportunity in the pass game, and look what happens.
Yeah, I love that 1-2 punch of him and Hunt. I really do. I just hope we continue to see that, and I hope we don't see next week another 15 carries from Jerome Ford, because I think Pierre Strong's done enough to warrant some carries here in the next couple games.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily hate Jerome Ford. I
don't either, but I just think he's a clear number 3 behind these other two guys.
Yeah, I just think Hunt and Strong
are better. The eye
better.
test, it's easy to see. Like you said, Pierre Strong, I think, is kind of the great combo right now that has the speed and the power to get through the line a little bit stronger. Kareem Hunt still runs hard as heck. I mean, he's bowling guys over on every single play. So I think between the two of them, you have a pretty good mixed mash of what you need there.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, my second positive today, or yesterday, I should say, is actually is MJ Emerson. And you're gonna see a theme that my 3 positives are just individual people, because there wasn't
Michael Jordan Emerson.
Yes, Michael Jordan Emerson himself. And again, this is also kind of another one that's not even just necessarily for this game; it's for the season. He was a mid-round pick last year, and he killed it last year. He's been playing even better this year. He was on DK Metcalf a lot in this game, and early on I was like, why? Why is Denzel Ward or Greg Newsome not on him? They're a lot faster, they're more athletic. But then as the game wears on,
he's got the size for it though. I kind of like that matchup the more I think about it.
So yeah, as I'm saying, as the game wears on, I keep watching him make plays and tip passes. DK got him a couple times because he's a really good receiver, so he's going to make some plays. But, I really think MJ Emerson has been our best corner this year. And that's saying a lot because I think Ward and Newsome have both played pretty damn well. Ward more so, but he's been really good, and I'd really like to see him get some talk to make the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah, he's been damn good, man. I mean, I don't think you touched on the stats, but he had 5 total tackles, 1 assisted tackle, and obviously the huge interception. Seahawks are driving in that third quarter there. I think they were about on the 20-yard line, and then Geno just kind of tosses it to Metcalf, and he jumps the route and picks it off. So couldn't have happened at a better time. Kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit, though. The one boy that I thought made a good play, but, man, I wish he could have came down with that ball. Our boy Cam Mitchell.
Yeah, dude.
Dropped a pick 6. I know we both kind of like fell to our knees. We're like, fuck. Because I'm like, it's a play like that that either makes or breaks a game for you. And with Newsome going out with injury, and then we got a couple other guys banged up later on in the game with Za'Darius Smith, and then Delpit went down. But, man, that's a play right there. You look back, you're like, that's one of those plays that we could have had that would have sealed the game for us.
Yeah, it's frustrating looking at it. It's just not right.
It ain't right.
But yeah, it's frustrating. It's just, he still made a great play. And
yeah, good play by the rookie, though. I mean, guy's a rookie. He's going to grow. He had a couple tackles himself, but, man, a pick 6 there would have been huge.
Yeah, it would have been. I hope no one's, like, getting pissed at him because they're like, if he, gets that pick 6, we win the game.
His fault.
But
there are 2 or 3 things that happened that if they could have changed, we would have won.
It's far from his fault. But, yeah, I like the little shout out to Cam because he had to step up with Newsome being out, and he played pretty well. But I'll swing it back to you so you can get to your second point.
Yes, sir. So my number 2, I actually had a person as well. I had David Njoku. I think he had, if not his best game, pretty damn close to his best game so far this season. Had 4 catches for 77 yards. Had the big touchdown. Most of his catches, I think 3 of the 4 came on pretty big screen passes that he had. The one which was for the touchdown, and then he had a couple other good screens.
Yeah,
so
that tight end screen
I'd like to see him
dirty.
get more involved with him especially. I mean, he's got the speed. The one, not the touchdown one, but he had one after that where he kind of took off for another like 15, 20 yards, and he was outrunning dudes up the middle of the field.
Yeah, he's an athletic dude. I mean, he always had the potential, but it looks like he's finally having a pretty solid year, at least numbers wise. I felt like he was good last year, but just didn't have enough targets and enough touches of the ball to really show that. And I think they're, especially with, which I'm sure we're going to get into, with the lack of a true number 2 receiver, kind of arising, they're looking Njoku's way a bit more, and I think it's paying off because we're far from the days where he was dropping every other pass that went his way, so it's nice to see.
No. Yeah, he has the potential and athleticism for sure, so I'd like to see them continue to hopefully utilize him like that in the future.
For sure, yeah.
I'll swing it back over to you for yours.
Yeah, and my last point, now I thought a bit about this, and I know some people aren't going to like this. You might not even like this, buddy. I'm not sure. I think you will for the most part. But my last positive, and I think is the absolute biggest positive, is our head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Was that the right play call at the end of the game?
Are you joking?
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
Was that the right play call at the end of the game? Probably not. To be fair, 2 guys were wide open.
To be fair, probably not. I mean, it was definitely the wrong play call, but it's hearsay at this point. What can you do?
I'm going to defend it by saying 2 guys were wide open, but I wouldn't have passed it either. You run the ball there, even if you get stuffed, at least it gives the defense a little bit better of a chance.
Yeah.
But
we talked about this too earlier today. If we have Watson, I have no problem with that play call. But the fact that you have a backup to the backup and a practice squad quarterback, I think that's the main problem there. But I'll let you get back to your point.
Yes, and this is why it's still a positive, and I think is the biggest positive. Take away that play. You go into a game, you're immediately down 14-0. And I've watched dozens of Browns teams in the past just absolutely fold and lose, 31-7 or 42-10 or 28-7, whatever, and they just roll over and show their bellies. Kevin went out there knowing his deficit and knowing that his defense was having a hard time, and obviously as an offensive guy, you're not going to know if your defense is going to hold up, but he still went out there and he called his game. And man, we've talked about before how we like Kevin, but he has these weird tendencies with his play calling sometime, and he dials up little cutesy plays too often. I thought he was fucking perfect for 99% of this game. He was dialing up the right plays at the right times. He was, that tight end screen is finally working. I felt like for multiple years that thing never worked, and he's dialing it up at the right times. He's calling screens, little, trick passes, shovel passes. He even brought in the read option a couple times with PJ, and every time he called it, it was wide open and got gains. And he stayed resilient and kept his guys resilient, and he is the main reason, in my opinion, we fought back in the game and even had a shot to win. Now, obviously,
I will give PJ some credit there too on a couple of those read options. He laid the fuck out. I mean, I thought he almost got injured on the second one because he dove for an extra 3 yards. So
yeah,
he
scared me.
I was like, there where credit's due.
He scared me. I'm like, don't you know who you're backing up and why you're playing?
Yeah, literally. I thought that too, and then I'm like, well, the guy can't throw. He can't hit the broadside of a barn, but he can run a little.
Yeah, and to be fair, PJ had a few moments, but overall wasn't great. But anyway, to sum up my point before you get into your last point, I just think Kevin Stefanski was a big positive, and I feel like you pluck out any one of our previous coaches in the regime, we absolutely get folded, and this isn't even a game. But I'll stop now.
I kind of had a very similar thing. Literally what I had jotted down here on my phone was game plan was great until it wasn't. So, in the words of the one coach from Montana Tech or whatever it is, it's kind of like I got mixed feelings. It's kind of like watching your mother-in-law go off a cliff in a Cadillac. I got mixed feelings. So I thought most of the game was real good. Like you said, he coached up a hell of a game to get us back in it after being down 14-0. And I thought 99.9% of the game was perfect until that 3rd and 3. It's just one of those things where you look back and you're like, how do you not give Kareem Hunt the ball there? The guy's been running downhill hard all day. He's been getting 4 yards a pop. But, I mean, you touched to it. I thought the game plan was awesome. He was getting guys involved. I couldn't believe we made 3 screens work back to back to back to get that touchdown in the second quarter. That was pretty impressive. And some of the read options, it almost felt like he didn't press it downfield a ton, so it wasn't like he was opening up the offense like he does for Deshaun at all. But the read options were pretty cool to see. I liked the run game. He kind of mixed it up a bit there. Amari Cooper had a good game. He had, 89 yards, it looks like. So got Cooper back involved again. I don't think he really could have called a much better game against a good defense like Seattle.
Yep, for sure. And I think that sums up the few positives. The only one I think we really didn't go over was Amari Cooper, but you kind of gave him his flowers there at the end. He had another good game.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? He's just Mr. Consistency for this offense. In a time where we don't really have a number 2 weapon, he's the guy that's going to go out there and get you 85 to 100 plus yards every single week almost. So can't say enough about that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. And, this...
You better.
This team, yeah. This team is really frustrating, but there's still bright spots where you can see things working out. Pardon a certain number 4 coming back and playing well.
Yeah,
but
the offense did look better, all things considered. It looked better than the last couple weeks before that, so at least we were able to move the ball a bit.
Definitely, but as you said to me recently, life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, we reckon. And
that's damn true.
This team was not all sunshine and rainbows, so let's get into the negatives. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. And just to kind of lead this off a bit here, Browns fans, we know how this goes. We knew we weren't going to win a 3rd straight game in this sort of fashion. Once everything had happened and unfolded the way it did, I was kind of sitting there with 38 seconds left on the clock, and I'm like, this is where our luck runs out. And unfortunately it was. So we'll use that to get into my first negative. Donovan Peoples fucking Jones, buddy. This bastard. I don't care if they cut him. I don't care if they trade him. I don't want to see his ass on the field a single more time this season. I can't stand. He's not getting any kind of separation. He's slow as shit. I can't say anything else about this guy. I'm so fucking tired of him. He's a Michigan Wolverine as well, so at least one of our 2 Michigan Wolverines in Maurice Hurts is playing well, but this guy is fucking going out there collecting a paycheck and doing absolutely nothing out there. I can't stand him.
Yeah, I don't think I need to add too much because I think that summed it up quite...
DPJ, RPJ, RPO, don't matter. Get him the fuck off my team. That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, I'll cap off that point by saying I 100% agree. He's been a struggle bus. I think maybe he just needs a change of scenery. And obviously
XFL, you mean?
Well, calm down, buddy. I don't want to rip him that bad. But I mean, I know he's been out.
He's on my shit list
the last couple of weeks, but I'd like to see Cedric Tillman get in there in that kind of same role that DPJ's playing and just see what he gives. You get Marquise Goodwin out there a little more, get David Bell a little more out there. There's been a lack of a true second outside receiver presence, and someone's got to step up and do it, because Elijah Moore, I feel like, has been playing well, but he's a slot guy. He's still kind of been up and down, and he's been getting very open in the middle of the field, and obviously we could see his numbers spike if Watson comes back, but that's still to be seen. But yeah,
he'll be the guy that benefits most from that. I think Watson's going to be the guy that'll be able to get him the ball.
Yeah, so DPJ.
If we ever fucking see him again, who knows? Good lord.
Yeah, God. I'm sure we'll get into that later this week, depending on...
The year is 2040 and Deshaun Watson's still on IR.
Deshaun Watson's still day-to-day.
Oh my God. 15 years later, Deshaun Watson's still day-to-day.
God. But anyway, I'll move on. My first negative, I didn't put DPJ on my list because I already knew we were fuming about the man. Mine's going to go to PJ Walker. Listen, I like PJ. He fights like a motherfucker. And he puts everything out there, to win a game. But my God, what he puts out there it's not enough. I mean,
even with a good run game, we have a top 5 running offense right now. Still can't seem to get anything going in the pass game.
Yeah, and even with a very well called game by Stefanski that helped out PJ and helped him make some, easier throws to make. And like I said, here and there he made a couple decent throws, but through 3 games he's got 1 passing touchdown, 5 interceptions, and he lost a fumble in this one. And he would have lost a fumble in the last one if it wasn't for a penalty call.
And 2 of the 3 turnovers were directly on his shoulders. That last one's kind of a fluke play, but the sack where he just fumbled the ball once again, it happened in the Colts game, but thankfully we maintained possession because of the penalty. But the first interception and that fumble there were just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, and he's hanging in the pocket way too damn long. That's what causes him to take some of the sacks he's taken, some of the fumbles. He really struggles through his progressions. He stares down his first read a lot. When you talk about that last play, well, it wasn't a very good play call. If he just moves off that first read, he had his check down and David Njoku wide open on the other side. But, he's just not that kind of guy. And he's kind of, most of the time he's going through that first read, and sometimes move around a bit and finally move on and make some plays here and there. But he's not very accurate. He's not enough of a threat in the run game to justify his inaccuracy. So you still have to have him stand in the pocket and make throws to win games like this, and he just can't. I mean, you saw it with 38 seconds left. That's a situation where obviously you don't have very much hope when you are down 4 and with that much time left. But 4 straight plays, he threw it to nobody. It's either
he was all over the place.
Yeah, it's either in the dirt or behind the receiver or sailing the receiver, and just when he needs to make plays to win the game, it falls apart. And I'm at a point where if Watson can't play, I'd rather see DTR because, at least he's young and, can get better and he's a bigger threat in the run game. Or goddamn, we got to fucking go get somebody, whether it's trade for Jacoby Brissett or fucking sign Carson Wentz or fucking Joe Flacco or fucking Cam Newton. I don't give a shit. It's got to be somebody else.
Fucking Cam Newton, fucking Wentz, anyone's better.
God.
That was my second negative as well, actually, so I'll kind of just add to what you had already stated. But QB play has been atrocious. The more I think about it, too, if we don't get those 2 penalties last week against Indianapolis, the one which was kind of bad, I'll admit. I think Amari Cooper did get PI called, which I think was warranted there, but the call against Peoples-Jones, which we got, if we didn't get those 2 calls and we didn't get in a position to run the ball in with Kareem Hunt, who knows? I mean, there's a good chance PJ Walker doesn't even start this week because he was atrocious in that game last week too. So, I mean, maybe if that didn't happen and we ended up losing that game last week, DTR could have possibly even started this week. But times are definitely pretty bad right now when Browns fans are calling to see DTR, the rookie, again after a 3-interception game. Whether it's going out, testing free agency, bringing in a guy like Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, or even possibly making a deal before the deadline. I think 100% that's the first move they have to make if you're Andrew Berry in that front office. We need a backup quarterback, even if Watson's back. You've seen these guys can't get it done, so whatever happens to Watson, if he does get dinged up again, you cannot roll out the rest of the season with either one of these 2 guys at quarterback. I think we've seen enough there.
Yeah, if I'm Andrew Berry, I'm on the phone and, checking out options for whether it's Jacoby or Case Keenum or, let me think.
It's one of 3 or 4 guys, like Keenum, Brissett. If you're looking at free agency, it's going to be Foles or Wentz or something like that.
I wouldn't even be opposed to Andy Dalton or...
yeah, Andy Dalton would be nice.
Yeah, so PJ ain't good. And I think...
No. And DTR we think can be good. I know a lot of people are down on him now, but year 1 is not the time to play him, especially with defenses like the Ravens, who just overtook us for the number 1 league. So I don't think this year's the time to play him. Let him sit and gain a little bit of experience first.
Yeah, but I'll stop.
It ain't fucking good, guys. That's what we're trying to say. It ain't fucking good.
It ain't good. And I'll move on to my, what is this, my second negative. Yeah, we hung on that one for a minute, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was both of our negatives, so I kind of piggybacked off what you were saying. So
yeah, my second negative is The defense got carved up again.
Like Thanksgiving turkey, bud.
Thanksgiving turkey. And I said in the pregame, the reason why I did pick us to ultimately lose, and my score was actually pretty close. Not to toot my own horn about a fucking loss, but I said this was a team. They have a lot of speed. They have the kind of weapons where a team that plays the style of defense like we do, very aggressive, heavy on man coverage. This is a team that can gash us. And that came very true, and it was even more true than I really was hoping it would be. Got thrashed in the first quarter, 17 points put up on them. Metcalf, Lockett,
they were
getting open with ease.
so aggressive, man. It's tough to do it against teams like that when you have 3 weapons and a guy like Bobo who's somehow slow as shit, but he's getting open somehow on end arounds, fancy gadget plays.
Yeah, I'm thankful we didn't play the Dolphins this week because we probably also would have let them hang 70 on us. But
yeah, our run defense was particularly bad this week too. I mean, both of their running backs were averaging 8+ yards a carry, which is terrible for how well our guys.
I got it right in front of me, buddy. Kenneth Rocker, 8 carries for 66 yards. That's 8.3 a carry. And Zach Charbonnet, 5 carries for 53 yards. That's 10.6 per carry.
Pains my soul.
Yeah, but anyway, second, third quarter, in theory, it looks better. They force some 3-and-outs. Myles Garrett gets a big sack early in the fourth, but I think some people are forgetting there were a couple drives where we kind of got bailed out by Geno Smith missing some receivers. There was I think at least 2-3 times where, and I feel like almost all of them were on damn third down, but a receiver's running open and Geno goes to hit him and he just missed him, and we kind of benefited from that. And then in the fourth quarter, what happened. Still not terrible field position. They were still on their own 40 and had to drive, or 50 some odd yards down the field to win the game or at least tie it. And we got carved up like fucking butter. Like it wasn't even. It was quick.
That's
and
the scary thing, I think, too, because it is a guy like Geno Smith. We're looking forward again to teams we've already played in. The Baltimore Ravens, Joe Burrow, who is now healthy and looking good again. Or I say even Trevor Lawrence, like any of these guys. So if we're playing like this against this guy, I don't want to see what it looks like when we're playing those elite quarterbacks.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't really have much to say after that. I'm a little concerned about the defense. I still think
perturbed is a good word, I think.
I'm a bit perturbed by the defense. I love Jimmy Neutron still, and
Me too. It's not time to bail on anybody by any means, but
I still think it's a very solid, very good defense. Still can be the best defense in the league, but I think this is the time where Jim Schwartz needs to, maybe dial back the aggression a bit against teams like this. String up some different schemes and styles to play against teams like this. And
I hate zone defense, but maybe throw in some zone there,
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got to play zone, and we play it like some of the least in the league. And against teams like this is the team where, like, you kind of need to, because they run a lot of man beaters, and you're going to get beat downfield by teams like this. That we match up very well against the Bengals because they have 3 really good receivers, but none of them are these crazy burners, deep threats. I mean, outside of, like, Jamar Chase, who's just a talent, but, like, we can keep up with those guys and be aggressive, beat them up a bit in man. And, we can match up with certain teams like that. But, we go in against teams that play fast and, in vertical, teams like, the Seahawks this week, the teams like the Chiefs and the Dolphins, and then even the Ravens.
With the Seahawks, they're kind of tough with their matchups as well. DK's got the size, he's got the speed. Lockett's a little smaller, but he's a good slot guy. And Jackson Smith and Jigba can kind of do a little bit of everything. So it's a little tougher matchup, I think, for us than the Bengals are.
For sure. Yeah, it's just, like I said, teams like this that play vertical, that play with a lot of speed, you got to dial back the man coverage a little bit, dial back the aggression, and, dial up a little more zone. Get a little bit more lax. Dare I say that, because that's all we fucking crucified Joe Woods for all year. But, you do have to do that sometimes, not all the time like he used to do. But, I think that kind of showed, and I have faith in Jim Schwartz. He's a very experienced guy, and I have very much faith that he'll adjust and make those corrections as the season goes on. But yeah, that was my second negative.
As do I. I believe in old Jimmy Neutron. He just needs to throw some other looks in there, kind of confuse the defense a bit. But going on to my third and final negative, I had Kareem Hunt had no touches whatsoever in the fourth quarter, and I thought he was having a pretty damn good game on the ground up till then. So the fact that he didn't get a single carry there, I thought putting Jerome Ford in that fourth quarter really didn't make a lot of sense. And for a guy that coached a hell of a game in Stefanski, I thought this week, it's one of those one or two plays that takes it from a strong A game for me to like a B plus for him, because at the worst possible time, you dial up a pass play on 3rd and 3 when you have three guys that are getting consistent yards on the ground. And so that play and just Kareem Hunt not getting any touches after the 3:30 point in the third quarter kind of rubbed me the wrong way a bit. So I think we need to be better about that in the future.
I completely agree with you. I mean, again, that's...
And he seemed kind of perturbed in his press conference as well. Like he kind of wondered why he wasn't getting any chances down the stretch when he's a proven guy we've had here in years past. And Ford's a rookie, or not a... Well, is he a rookie?
Second year.
But I mean, this is basically the first time he's getting actual playing time. So a guy that's a proven veteran that's known as a hard runner, I don't know why you don't put him in there and for that circumstance rather than a guy that we don't really know what he can do and we haven't been impressed with his abilities so far.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing that you didn't see him or Pierre Strong either, really, in that fourth quarter. It was a lot of Jerome Ford, and you know, like I said,
I think you stick with the hot hand. You stick with what's working when you have it. Why change it for two guys that are doing so well and put in a guy that's hasn't been doing as well over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, and we said it when Nick Chubb got hurt. We were like, we got to play running back by committee now. Whoever's playing.
He's done a great job with that. I'll give him credit for that. I mean, he touched on it in his press conference. He's like, I thought all three guys did a good job, which they did, but I just don't think the guy has as many. Granted, I'm saying this, and he has the two biggest plays any running back has for us this season, but Ford just doesn't seem to have those runs that the other guys have.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the consistent down-to-down ability, gain an extra few yards, fight for extra yards. His vision is kind of average. He'll miss, some cutback opportunities here and there. Obviously, he's very young and he's not very experienced. And, I mean, I don't think he's been, so bad per se. It's just, you just think the other two guys are better.
He hasn't been horrendous, but, yeah. And I thought with Pochich played a hell of a game. I thought he was getting out there, setting the tone. We had a lot of inside runs that went for 7+ yards a carry. So I thought behind him, Kareem Hunt could have got that 3 yards pretty easily there. I just don't understand why you go away from that guy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have anything else you wanted to add there before I get into my last point?
No, go right ahead, buddy.
All right. Yeah, my last point here is, this is a specific position group on the defense, and I was just praising Maurice Hurst, but I am gonna overall the front seven for me today was a bit of a negative, a bit disappointing. Obviously, Myles Garrett had the big sack in the fourth quarter, which was awesome to see. He always tends to come up with the big plays when we need him. Obviously, Maurice Hurst had the big interception and just has been great all year. But overall, the front seven was a bit disappointing. The Seahawks line isn't anything to be worried about necessarily when you have
nothing to write home about.
Yeah, when you have the front four that we have. And, I thought even Garrett was kind of having some moments where he was, getting bottled up a little bit here and there. They game plan for him well. And Zadarius Smith.
Got a guy like Zadarius Smith who's doing fucking nothing on the other side. I can't blame him that much because that guy's been a non-factor all fucking season pretty much.
Yeah, he's definitely been disappointing. He's had some moments, but he's definitely been disappointing. He seems
to be the last guy there all the time. It seems like Obo and Miles will get to the quarterback, and then he's always like a step or two behind.
Yeah, and speaking of Obo, I think he's played a little better. He really wasn't a factor this game, though. I mean, I don't even think he has a stat.
I didn't see him playing a lot, really. I was going to say, I didn't really see number 54 out there too much this game, so I don't know if he wasn't playing
he was
as
out
much,
there
or
a
he
bit,
just wasn't
especially
getting
down the
QB.
stretch because Zadarius got hurt.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But to finish my point, I felt just overall the front four was disappointing. That we were letting runs gash us a bit. That we've done a lot better of a job recently with, defending the run this year. And, it's kind of been getting broken open a bit. And especially this game where we're averaging, allowing almost like 9 yards a carry to their running backs. So that was definitely a bit disappointing. And the linebackers overall just weren't great. JOK was okay. He had a nice tackle for loss, but if you don't have JOK, like, this linebacker room is the worst in the league, and it's not close.
Yeah, that's not good, man. Linebackers have had a bad last 2 games.
Yeah, Anthony Walker, he's a good leader and he's a good locker room guy, but you can definitely tell he's taken a step back after his injury. And then, Sione Takitaki, he's decent in run support, but he's very good at one thing at that position, and if he's in there on passing downs, it's a struggle. So overall, the front seven, and you can say this about the whole defense, but I thought, our biggest strength, especially, was our front four, that defensive line, and that was disappointing. Linebackers were disappointing, so I'm going to cap off my final point there by just saying that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. With Juan Thornhill now on this team, he does a lot of things similar to what but Anthony Walker does in terms of leadership. So I think you have to look at replacing him in the offseason.
Yeah, I think you need, one other, athletic, versatile, type linebacker out there, because, you can have Taki be your third option at linebacker, come in on base sets, be good against the run, but, when you're against the pass and you're playing nickel and having those 2 linebacker sets, you need JOK out there with another guy, that can play fast and play in coverage. That's why Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are so goddamn good. It's because they complement each other beautifully.
I was literally just thinking that. Like, it's scary seeing some of the other combos at linebacker that the AFC have, the Ravens. I mean, any one of these guys almost could be our number 1 linebacker on this team, so we need to improve there, I think.
Yeah, definitely, but that kind of caps our negatives.
What can you do?
Yeah.
How many sacks do we have this week? 1, right?
1, yeah.
Yeah, definitely underwhelming for a team that, coming into this, we both thought we could have some success against the Seahawks O-line. Not the best showing from the front 4, the front 7, really, if you include the linebackers, so we shall see what we do next week against Arizona. It'll be a must-win game.
Yeah, and that, to kind of end off here, that's kind of the unfortunate thing, is obviously this is a game I didn't think we were going to win, but we were in a position to win and should have won. And now, because of this loss, this makes the Arizona game an absolute must-win. And going against a one-win team that might start Kyler Murray, might start this rookie that we don't really know a whole lot about. Either way, it's an absolute trap game because they've played everybody tough. And, they beat teams like Dallas, who, a lot of people think highly of, may not necessarily be us, but, And
if we do start this rookie, we've never seen this kid before, so who knows what he's going to do. It's not like you can game plan for this kid that you've never seen throw a single pass before, so it very much is a huge trap game that we need to come into and be prepared knowing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's very big potential for this game to be a battle of 2 fifth-round rookies, with the guy they got, and then DTR if he plays again, because obviously Stefanski in his press conference today, he did not commit to PJ Walker being the starter if Watson can't go. So I don't know if that means DTR is going to start or if we're going to pick up somebody or make a move, but hopefully
God we bring somebody in, man. I hope to God it's somebody that we bring in, but at this point, they're probably not going to be ready for this game next Sunday.
Yeah, I hope to God it's our $230 million man.
Oh gosh, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and while Watson hasn't been great, obviously he was starting to put it together before he got hurt, which is unfortunate. And I still think he can put it together and play at a high level, but even the version of Watson we've gotten over the 9 full games he's played for us, I still take that night and day over fucking any of these backups. It's bad.
Not even a question. I mean, coming into the Colts game, he had 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, and he had about 700 yards. So that's night and day over what these other guys are doing. Other guys can't even throw a damn touchdown pass.
I'll take some of our emergency quarterbacks from that. Give me fucking Jarvis Landry, or call up Josh Cribbs and tell him to take it back to his Kent State days and get out there and launch the pigskin. It's probably not much worse.
Shit. What's Julian Edelman doing? Give him a call. Good old Edelnut playing quarterback.
Hey, Edelnut.
Hey, Edelnut.
God. But,
it's a scary time. Like, I think what made this loss so much more worse, too, is, like, the fact that we were down by 14, scratched and clawed our way back into the game, took a lead, and then barely lost by 4 points in the end. Like, it just breaks your fucking heart losing like that. In a game where you thought we were going to lose anyway, but I damn near, if we would have scored one more touchdown, I would have predicted the score perfectly.
Yeah, you would have too.
But,
I said 24-16.
Just the way it went down. Yeah, it hurts you, just the way you lose it, because we have the talent there. You can see the talent, even though we had a bad defensive game. We still have playmakers on a lot of levels of this. So to see us claw back into the game and possibly be able to squeak out another close win, 5-2 sounds a lot better than 4-3 right now, because we're in a 3-way tie for second and last place in the division all at once.
Yeah.
And our division record's a little behind everybody. I think. What's the Bengals? They might be the only team that have a worse divisional record. I know we're 1-2.
I think
Ravens have a winning
same
record, and Steelers are 2-1. I think.
Yeah.
So we're kind of behind the 8 ball a bit there.
Yeah. I mean, we're close to the halfway point, and we're at a point in the season where we got to start stacking some wins, and you got to go beat Arizona, and then you're going into Baltimore in a not favorable situation, and then you got Pittsburgh. But once you hit Pittsburgh at home, you have a stretch of games where you got to fucking put your foot on the gas and get some wins, because there's some very winnable games in that stretch.
Yeah, that is the one good thing about the back half of our schedule. We do have very winnable there, so take advantage of that while we can.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's going to be tough. But, as I pull up the schedule here, we got Arizona, which is a game you would think should win. And then you got a tough matchup at the Ravens. And then you're at home against Pittsburgh, which you would think we could win at home. But you never know. Weird shit happens when we play Pittsburgh. But then after that, you got at Denver, who's been struggling. They did just beat the Chiefs, but, we'll see how that goes. You got at the Rams, who, that's a toughish game, but, again, a team that's been a bit underwhelming. You're at home against the Jaguars. That's a tough one. But then you got the Bears, the Texans, and the Jets, which are all very winnable games, unless, of course, Aaron Rodgers defies science and is back by then. But I don't necessarily think that'll happen.
We just got to do our best to stay afloat over these next 5 games, because if we can stay afloat and keep ourselves in contention, we really have a chance to knock it home and knock it out of the park in those last 3-4 games.
Yeah, that stretch of Bears, Texans, Jets is probably the easiest, so I'm thinking, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games before you get to that stretch. When I look at that, I'd like to be, 4-2 in that stretch. So, we could go into that game 8-5, and go into that stretch of games, Bears, Texans, Jets, because then, it's looking real nice. At the very least, you want to be 3-3 in that stretch, so you can be 7-6. But we're getting to the nitty-gritty point of the season, and either Watson needs to get back and fucking ball, or if he can't play, you need to figure something else out, because we can't win. You
can't waste the talent we have this.
I'll put it the way you always put it. We can't go out there losing the turnover battle every week and wasting this potential of everyone else around it, aside from the QB situation, and just let it all waste away. We did that with fucking Joe Thomas. Let's not waste guys like Myles Garrett and Amari Cooper. Let's go out there and get some wins for these
Nick
guys.
Nick Chubb, when we get him back, too.
Yeah, especially for Nick Chubb.
We need to go out there and put it all together.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a couple days ago. I think our window to win is very small compared to a lot of teams. But I think we have this year, next year, maybe a year after that. But I mean, realistically, this and next year, because once Watson's making 60, 65 million or whatever against the cap, if you think things are bad now, if this guy's still playing like he is a year and a half from now, and we don't have any money to re-sign him, we don't have any money to keep Emerson, if you think it's bad now, just wait till we don't have any of this other talent around him. It's going to be a shit show.
Exactly. And with that, I'm going to finalize our point with these are my 3 takeaways from today. Figure out quarterback. Defense needs to get better. And send DPJ to Guangdong Tigers right now.
Fuck yeah. I agree with all 3 of those.
But anyway.
And pray. Let's pray we make some trades tomorrow, Browns fans, because Lord knows we need it. We need a receiver and we need a quarterback. So I'm going to put on my damn my trusty Browns t-shirt to fall asleep in tonight.
Yep, it just hit midnight, so it's officially Halloween. And let's hope on this Halloween trade deadline that the Browns...
14 hours till the deadline, baby.
Let's hope the Browns can figure some fucking shit out. And with that, it's been the 10th episode of Cold Takes from the Land. We appreciate you guys for listening, and we will see you, hopefully in a better mood, in the next one.
Cold Takes from the Land.